Hi again, my beautiful people. Chris Walinski here. Welcome back. Today is the spicy episode. And the reason I say that is that we're going to talk about nothing but spice. Let's talk about what drives prostate cancer. So, prostate cancer is driven primarily, it's a hormone driven cancer similar to breast cancer. And unlike breast cancer, what drives prostate cancer are male hormones, which are called androgens, testosterone, dihydrotestosterone. So, and this is not exclusive to men. Women have testosterone as well. And that's what feeds the prostate cancer, and that's what makes it go quickly. When you hear people that have aggressive prostate cancer, it means that their testosterone is just firing along and their PSA is increasing very rapidly. Their doubling time is very short, and that's what causes all the problems. So the typical first line of defense for, especially early on in prostate cancers, is like androgen deprivation therapy or androgen receptor antagonism. Now, what do these things mean? So androgens are male hormones, and that's what drives the prostate cancer. And antagonists in medicine and chemistry is something that, as you might imagine, it's working against. So you're looking for something to work against the androgen receptors. And typically, what's given to men with prostate cancer are, this is the second generation, but drugs like darolutamide, enzalutamide, I think apalutamide. These are androgen receptor antagonists, or they fight against the androgen receptors. Well, what I've found is I've found two articles. The first one is about capsaicin, which is the active ingredient in chili peppers. And this study was done in China, and what they studied were both in vitro and in vivo effects of capsaicin, the chili pepper extract, on prostate cancer in different phases. And so what in vitro and in vivo mean? In vitro literally translates from in glass. And what it means is that it's a lab test. It's done, we call it sometimes a benchtop test. It's not in a living organism. It's in a petri dish. It's in some sort of a lab-controlled experiment. On the other hand, in vivo means in a living organism. It can be in a human, it can be in an animal, it's just a living organism. And so in both these cases, what these researchers found was that capsaicin acted as an androgen receptor antagonist. Very powerful. And what they found was when they treated prostate cancer cells with capsaicin, after 72 hours, 3 days, they found that the cancer cell growth, the proliferation of these cells, actually was decreased by 42% versus the group where they didn't treat it with capsaicin. So this is almost 50% less growth after 3 days just by treating it with these pepper extracts. Absolutely amazing. They quoted another paper inside this paper, and that was also done in vitro. And what they found in that one was that when they gave high doses of capsaicin, after 25 days, so about a month later, get this, they were measuring the size of tumors, and they found that when they treated with a lot of capsaicin, high doses, the tumors shrank by as much as 55%. This is hugely significant, and it's all based upon this androgen receptor antagonism. So hope you like spicy stuff, because you need to be eating hot chili peppers or some sort of chili pepper sauce. Put it on everything. And just to clarify something, I've heard people say that the spice in peppers is in the seeds, and sometimes it's in the flesh. It's actually in the internal lining of the pepper. So you have the skin, you have the flesh, and then you have that little white kind of membrane. That's where the capsaicin is inside peppers. Good to know. All right, second paper. This one was from Indonesia, and there was actually Indonesian, Chinese, and German doctors involved in this one, and they were testing wasabi. real wasabi, not the kind that you get in the little green tubes. The little green tubes, they do have horseradish, but it's regular horseradish, and you're actually very lucky to find wasabi tubes that actually have any real wasabi in them. They do have other chemicals, and they've got artificial colors and sugar, and they've got all kinds of flavors in there to kind of make it a little more flavorful. But so these studies were done on real wasabi, and what they wanted to find out was what kind of chemicals, what kind of phytochemicals, the plant-based chemicals or nutrients were in wasabi, and whether it was more potent in the leaves or in the roots, because as you probably know, we use wasabi roots to extract the actual paste that you have when you're eating sushi or sashimi. We don't typically use the leaves. And what they did find was that there are 42 different phytonutrients. Almost all of them are antioxidants, and meaning that they work against free radical damage. And free radical damage, as you might remember, it can cause DNA problems, so it can cause mutations. It can cause damage to lipids, which are in the cell membranes, meaning that the cell membranes get weak, and they allow all sorts of, they can allow changes to the cells, or the cells just basically exploding and die. And so there's a lot of benefits, and it's mostly in the roots, and they're the same types of antioxidants like phenolic compounds, polyphenols, like you would find in green tea. They're very similar to what you'd find quercetin in apples and in fruits. There's all kinds of polyphenols in wasabi. So who knew? So that's your lesson for today. Have a lot of chili pepper, have a lot of wasabi. Hopefully you've got a spicy tongue, because these things are really good for you. And I can't really post the actual articles online because they're copyrighted, but I can post the links to articles. So I will post in the next couple of days links to these two papers, as well as any papers that we've discussed in the past. I've started a site, another site called the Prostate Site.com, and that's where I'll put these papers, and then there's a little bit of surprise news in there as well. So I appreciate you joining me today. I always ask you to be a blessing. I'm going to ask you to be a blessing to me today, and I would appreciate if you could share these videos with people who might benefit from them. If you know somebody who's got prostate cancer, or some family that's dealing with this, whether it be a grandpa or a dad or a brother or an uncle, really appreciate you sharing this news with them, because a lot of what I share is very powerful, and who knows, it might just help somebody. So thanks so much. Be a blessing, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.